Hello there. My name is Anthony. Here I am in a four-part series which I've covered already, some of them. That is how to use the internet safely. Number one. Number two, PCs, laptops, and networking. And the third one today I'm about to cover is the World Wide Web, or WWW. And today we'll take a look at what the World Wide Web is. You all have used it. It is the browser or the internet using the address www. This is a service on the internet server, and when you type into your browser, whether it is a Windows browser using Microsoft Edge or Microsoft Internet Explorer. Incidentally, Internet Explorer is no longer in use, which is superseded by Windows 10 Microsoft Edge. And or whether you're using Safari in a Mac operating system, right? You use a browser. And what do you do with the browser? You actually try to search for something. For example, you might go www.cbc.ca. And this basically will translate into an IP address of the particular site. The sites are again divided by ICANN, Internet Committee for Assigned Numbers and Names, and they are divided according to, those spaces are divided according to country, organization, and the .NET, which is a not-for-profit organization, just as an example. So if you typed www.cbc.ca, it will take you to that site, and depending on what the site is being used for, or the World Wide Web, in that instance, it will bring up a page. If it was only for an intranet, which means a local use of the internet using the browser, and it would bring up a static page, a plain page for the organization's messaging, for example, or some kind of information that the organization needs to know. No graphics, no nothing, just a plain static page. In that case, the internet uses, the WWW service uses languages. The language it is probably using is an HTML language, and HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, which only brings up static pages, or notices, as I just mentioned. The other one would be the language used in the World Wide Web service is CSS, Cascade Style Sheets. These basically enhance the look and feel of the internet page you're trying to render, which would be color, paragraphs, and images. All could be in dynamic or static form. The other languages used in the World Wide Web service is many languages. They are basically languages written by a specialized group of people called web developers. And the web developers are again divided into two types of people: front-end developers and full-stack or back-end developers. The front-end developers are responsible for UI, user interface or graphic user interface using APIs, application programming interfaces. Sometimes I tend to digress and become too technical, so I'll try to stick to a user-friendly language. The front-end developers use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Not much, very minimal. Basically to provide the user clicking on the web page with a friendly, user-friendly interface, and take the user where they want to go depending on where they click. The back-end developers, on the other hand, develop the web page at the back end, on the servers. And they use pretty high-end languages called Python, PHP, JavaScript, C++, and other languages which basically enhance and bring up very specialized information. So the user sends a query, and if the query is for a database, using tables and rows and columns, etc., they would probably be using MySQL and such, a database language, right? And if they were using other kind of images that were used for e-commerce and such, they would use high-end languages like Python and PHP and JavaScript. So these are stuff that happens in the background when you launch a web page. The rendering occurs depending on what you are trying to access on the web, right? Front end or back end, just a user interface, a plain page, or very, very sophisticated database information. So that's what the internet is. It's not a simple thing. It's basically run in the background with quite sophisticated programming. Those people are known as developers, software engineers, and so on. And another aspect of the World Wide Web is cloud computing. What is cloud computing? Basically, cloud computing is something that is not used within your environment, right? Whether it be a small office, home office, whether it be a corporate office using a pretty high-end data center, or running Nutanix server systems. It's basically servers that are not present in your environment. They are run by and managed by Amazon Web Services, AWS, or they are run by Google Cloud Platforms. And whenever you access something in the cloud, whether it's storage or whether it's something that's specifically sitting on the cloud, as it were, in that environment, you would basically be querying for VM, little pieces of information called virtual modules that run as infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, server as a service, and so on. Little modules that you actually pay for when you run cloud computing. And who are the major players in this field in cloud computing? They are Amazon and Google. So that's what cloud computing is all about. Now, it's all very well and fine as far as networking and computers are concerned. Networking, of course, is run in the background by servers and managed large scale on Unix and Microsoft platforms, or even bigger than that, are services or features like Nutanix servers, which are basically rack-mounted servers that are virtual machines running various platforms on the same hardware. That's, in a nutshell, what Nutanix is. Now, what I might have left off in when covering the PCs and hardware systems and software systems is a few pieces of information that come to mind is at the core of all these hardware is hard drives, which today are very tiny little things called SSDs, very small miniature devices, hardware devices called SSDs, and memory, which the more the memory, the faster the computer is, because when you launch stuff on a computer, you run the operating system or bring up an application, the application is loaded onto the memory. So the more memory you have, the faster the operation will happen. And then there's other pieces of software like Microsoft Office, which you use to produce documents every day, And then there's antivirus software to prevent malicious software intruding and destroying and setting your computer back and perhaps even destroying it. And there's so many other pieces of software these days that it depends on what you want your computer to do. If you want to set up a database with columns and rows and telephone numbers and addresses and or even spreadsheets like inventory and so on with a whole bunch of rows and columns, you would use Excel spreadsheet at the very minimum, or you would use MySQL servers, or you can say applications to run the databases. And furthermore, the platforms that you run in a computer networking environment or in a www, World Wide Web environment, can be Linux operating system, Mac OS, or the Apple operating system, or Microsoft, right? And sorry, I might have skipped this. The SQL applications that are MySQL, NoSQL, or Mogo. So these are the SQL or databases that you would be running on the machines. Again, all this seems very complicated if you're not a techie, but some pieces of information that are good to know. And my next topic, I'm hoping, will be the ChatGPT. It is the update or the latest on the web, a higher learning system. It's also called machine learning. So we will cover all of these topics: ChatGPT, machine learning, all of which form part of artificial intelligence and robotics. We will cover that in our next segment. And for now, I think I've given you bits and pieces. Maybe in another segment, we will recap the 4 chapters that I covered and go on to probably a further segment which I have not yet thought up. So, of course, I promise you they will be interesting. If you like my channel, then please like and subscribe and share. So, bye for now. This is Anthony signing off.